Oh, Jesus Christ.
What, I haven't actually washed this car in a while. Are we going to introduce this? I guess so.
I don't know, I think that kind of defeats the purpose of just being a natural thing.
Well, yeah, but this is really the first one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, very first, I guess we'll introduce ourselves. I am Styles Rockman.
Kaz, a.k.a. Greg Werner.
We're going to go with full names.
I'm going to go with my full name.
Okay.
Full name, it's up to you. I don't care if you reveal your full name.
I guess
everyone knows mine.
That's true, actually, yeah. Okay. I don't know what I was going to... I mean, a lot of the ideas I had on what to call this were sort of based on where the camera was going to be. I had an idea for over the shoulder. Camera was going to kind of be back there.
Dashboard diaries.
Below the waist. I don't even know what this fuck is. We'll just call this the roof of my car. That's so funny and witty. Oh god, my face is still kind of sticky and I taste the whipped cream. It's kind of gross. Fourth wall breaking. We're recording this just after we recorded my very first Styles Rockman short. I have settled on a name for those. Gotta keep the brand name. I don't know.
No, I think it. I guess technically my brand, if it's ever going to be a thing, is Kazbit, not Kaz.
Well, Kaz is... I don't know, like, growing up, you were always Kaz or some other... I can't even think the word that I'm thinking of. You were just Kaz.
Yeah.
But I never heard of... I always thought that was pretty original, and then it was like, oh, here's another Kaz. There's a bunch of Kaz. There's a Kaslo Street in Vancouver.
Is there?
Yeah.
In
it's spelled
Vancouver?
with an S.
Son of a bitch.
But yeah, it's Kaslo Street.
I don't know. Well, Kaz is a real name, and it's a girl's name as well.
Is it?
Yep. It's more of a European English thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you could say it's a Japanese name.
That's true.
But then it'd be more like Kaz.
Kazuhiro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the decision to go with Kazbit came out of the fact that that's the only unique and identifiable DeviantArt page that I have. I own several DeviantArt pages, but the only one I've actually used. Kaslo's taken, Kaz is taken.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go with Dark Kaz like I used to in the past because I'm not fucking 13 anymore.
I'll be honest, the only reason I have a DeviantArt account is so that I can look at pictures of naked ladies.
Oh yeah.
And also dudes from time to time.
DeviantArt is in the naked photos business, and business is a booming. To the point
Tell you what else is booming. I got nothing.
The base. But, oh man. Fuck DeviantArt. I mean, I know fuck DeviantArt, but it's a great website for people to post their shit. I mean, Omar Dogans has a DeviantArt account. Lauren Faust has a DeviantArt account. There's obviously something to it.
Yeah.
But then there's other shit you see of just the other day I saw somebody who posted an animated GIF of, that stupid Let's Player, the Swedish guy.
Oh, PewDiePie?
PewDiePie.
Yeah.
Just post an animated GIF of PewDiePie crying in response to the end of The Walking Dead. And post that on DeviantArt because that's art. An animated GIF of someone who is not you crying at the ending of a video game, which is way better than they are in every regard. That's art.
Yeah.
Suck my dick.
It's more real than he is.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to have my hand in that. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as YouTube, I guess. Just it doesn't completely dominate the market. I don't even know if there is a market for just hosting images and the like.
Oh man, remember Side 7? Remember
Photo Bucket?
Well, I mean, Photo Bucket is a real thing. I just mean that there are a lot of competitors with DeviantArt. Not even competitors. I mean, they operated side by side. That have gone the way of Dodo over the years. Probably a couple of them have my old high school and grade school drawings on them on some long abandoned account. I hope no one ever tries to find anything like that.
Hey, don't worry. I put a bunch of poems and short stories on my DeviantArt account. And will never see the light of day.
Oh god, the poetry on DeviantArt. I don't want to make enemies of anyone out there who cares about poetry.
Well, we'll just say there is no poetry on DeviantArt.
That would be a fair thing to say. Here's the thing that annoys me. This is just speaking, in short, on internet poetry in general.
Yes.
Bear in mind, you have taken more class on poetry than I probably ever will. You probably know more about poetry than I ever will. But, like, it's always the same goddamn, like, A-B line structured, like, simple rhyming. Because people are writing song lyrics, not writing poetry. When you get down to it. They think that song lyrics are poetry, when they're not.
No.
But also they're always, like, about these, like, big picture, like, oh, such emotion.
Yeah.
Like, they're either about, I'm so in love and my love doesn't notice me.
Or, I'm so sad and no one understands me.
Or, I'm so sad because life is empty and meaningless. And it's like, gee, remember when W.B. Yeats wrote that awesome poem about how sad he was because the world was, the universe was empty and meaningless? It's like, no, he wrote poems that were about something.
Yeah.
Something very specific, something about which you could actually form interesting, engaging lines. And just like the A-B line structure and like that kind of topic, something people need to realize, they really need to realize, Shakespeare was making fun of that shit in his plays. He was ironically using these things to poke fun at their overuse 500 years ago.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that Shakespeare also hated people, and that's why he very much liked the sonnet. Like you said, I took some poetry classes, and I honestly took it because I was like, hey, you know what, this is going to be an easy English credit. And it was, to be honest. I think I either got an A or an A+. I didn't care enough to really look. But it was the very first day, the instructor was like, okay, well, number one, you are allowed maximum one love poem, and can pretty much guarantee you're not going to get higher than a B mark on it, unless you are a master poet.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, and then we went over, he really guided us a lot, on structure of poetry, and we did not do research any historical poets at all. Actually, he tried to keep it quite contemporary within the past 40 or 50 years, which I think is reasonable.
Yeah.
Which was a shock for me because I never read any contemporary poetry, and it was actually pretty interesting to see what contemporary poetry is like. The one guy I wrote, there was one guy in particular. He's a Canadian guy, and he was part native. I can't remember for the life of me what his name was. But he wrote really interesting poems. They were very broken structure. They were very minimalist. He used the minimal number of words that he could to get his point across and his poem across. And they were all nature themed, or not all of them, but largely nature themed. And it was some of the most beautiful poetry that I had written, or that I had read. I gave the secret away. It was me. No, that I had read. And it was surprising to me because, like you said, the poetry that we had been exposed to, because all we was just stupid teenagers writing about feelings that they don't actually understand or have.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the other annoying thing is it's pretty cool that you got to study some contemporary poetry because anyone who on the internet who is writing poetry who actually knows anything about poetry, it's like, oh, what are your greatest influences? They always say, oh, the old poets who are at least 100 years old.
Yeah.
It's like nobody has any actual knowledge of modern poetry because that would take effort.
Yeah.
What annoys me even more is people don't even go that far of who are writing just this bad, flat poetry about the same base subjects. It's like you can go look up all of the works of a lot of the great poets and just get at least kind of a feeling of not just writing these vague, bland, emotional statements about nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first, for example, the first two poems I wrote for the poetry course I took, there were stories, which is really the way that I kind of like to write my poems. The first story was just about a little boy who an overview of the story is he's got a single mom, and he happens to be playing in the cellar and finds a box with where the mom has got all of her wedding memorabilia there, and he doesn't know, and he sees the wedding photo, but he doesn't know who the dad is because he never met him, right? So that's the story that I told, and I don't know, maybe I'll post that with this video or something. Because I was actually pretty proud of that poem. And then that was more of a serious poem. And then the second poem I wrote was a funny one. It was just about...
limerick.
Huh? It was a limerick. There once was a man from Fantucket. I'm going to avoid copyright issues. No, it was a story just about being seasick. And I thought it was pretty funny, because I think I'm a funny person. But, like, you know, that's... The point is... I don't know, the point I'm trying to get across, though, is writing poetry is very much about selecting a topic and creating the form and theme and the mood around what it is you're trying to write. Not the other way around, to say, oh, I'm going to make something really profound about being sad and in love.
That's so deep.
Oh, man. I'm
totally,
a nihilist.
Like, totally in agreement with that. Just like all the great poems, or at least many great poems, most great poems, you know, are about a very specific topic.
Yeah,
and telling a story about that topic or describing it in some way or something. It's like it's about something very specific and something very real that you felt or that you're trying to understand. And it's not about making these broad emotional statements that everyone has made.
Well, that's the thing, is the way to make poetry the way to make poetry speak to people is you have to make it very personal. And the more personal you make it to you, in fact, you will make it more accessible to more people, right? Because no one person is different from everybody else. Everybody is identifiable with other people on some level. So if you write something that is very personal to you, odds are it will be very personal to somebody else, and will speak to them, and they will appreciate that much more than I love you because your hair is beautiful.
Her hair shimmered like the sunrise off the surface of a lake.
I love her like I love alcohol.
Also, if you're going to write poetry, for God's sake, do revisions.
Yeah,
it's so obvious when you don't
thing.
Do revisions. This is coming from someone who knows nothing about poetry. I've never taken a class on it or anything.
I've only taken one college course, and I took creative writing in high school, but that didn't really count because I never went to class.
For the record, I'm not saying I could do better.
You know what? I'm absolutely certain that you could do better, just because you are naturally artistic, and I think people who are naturally artistic can do better than the average person in any medium. With the exception, I guess, of classic art and painting and the like. But I think, someone who is a painter would be a better poet than somebody who is a mechanic, or somebody who is artistically inclined. On the average, I'm sure there are very poetic mechanics out there. I don't want to be closing off my audience here. All right.
I think to be truly good in a depthful way in any art form requires a lot of self-evaluation and pulling from life experiences.
Yeah.
So if you have those, that's what it takes to be good at anything.
Tell you what, let's call this intermission. Whoa. Oh, yeah, all right. And I don't even remember where I was pointed. Whatever. We're back. So poetry. I think that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, I've calmed down some. Don't want to burn any bridges with internet poets out there who are, I'm sure, trying their best.
And I'm sure watching this podcast.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right.
Just tag it poetry in the YouTube tags and they'll find it.
Just title the video, "Fuck You."
Yep.
Fuck you, everybody, everywhere. That's how you get subscribers, right?
And, as always, my problem is not with the people themselves who are trying to create something.
No.
My problem is with people out there who are giving them positive encouragement that they don't deserve. That sounds so asshole-ish.
Well, here's the thing: is that the internet is such a toxic environment, and oftentimes the worst thing for any creative mind are internet fans, because you have there was an hour-long podcast by the Red Supre guys talking about PewDiePie, so I won't go into huge depth about it. But here's the thing: is that if you have somebody who is misguided or untalented, or maybe just under-talented. They're a work in progress. You can't give them, and they have any number of fans. You can't criticize them because their fans will just say, "Oh no, that's wrong. You're doing it perfect. I love everything that you do." When in fact they do need genuine criticism, and then you can't come from the other side. You just say, "Oh fuck you, you suck," because again that's the internet attitude. It's the
Yeah, I run into this problem a lot when I'm thinking about like the poetry that I see on DeviantArt. Like a lot of it is terrible, but if it has like just the slightest bit of like, oh, you phrase something in an interesting way, or like, oh, the rhythm's not terrible, there's just like a chorus of people who are saying, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I literally cried. And if I care so much about poetry, like I'm acting like I do, I should be in there saying, like, this has potential, but you should work on this, and you should work on this, and maybe this would be better. But in a lot of cases, I would be shouted down.
Yeah.
And, it wouldn't do anyone any good.
If you don't like it, don't read it.
Like, maybe that person would get better. Maybe, I'm sure there's people out there who are really trying to take, like, honest criticism to heart.
Yeah.
There are others out there who are assholes, and I don't know. It's, when poetry is not something I'm passionate about. It's not something I think about a whole lot,
But you can apply those exact same feelings towards art.
Yeah.
And people who, and artists on DeviantArt.
Well, and that's where I focus my attention. That's where if I'm going to criticize something, or I'm going to actually post a critique and say, hey, this is nice, but you should work on this, or I really love this aspect of it. I focus on that. I don't have enough time to go around trying to critique poetry when I don't even understand it that much. I just know when it's bad.
Yeah. Everybody knows bad poetry. I don't know. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways.
I used to worry a whole lot about not branding, but like what name should a person go by on the internet? And it's something I've realized both when it comes to names, when it comes to passwords are a big one.
Yeah.
The first result is almost always the best one. The first thing that jumps into your head is what you should go with if you can.
Yeah.
And it's when I thought about like a lot of the people online who I like really look up to, or just like, look at the DeviantArt account for any like artist who you respect or something like that, or the YouTube account or whatever. It's like a lot of names out there are really dumb. Our names are pretty dumb.
Styles
Rockman, but you say it enough and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I don't know. For me personally, it's not. I don't know. It's not so much about branding as it is, and this may just be like a weird actor thing. I consider Styles Rockman to be sort of a separate entity. It's a very It's definitely a version of me, but a much more exaggerated and extreme version of me. Which is with these podcasts, I guess I don't know. We'll have to see how well these get picked up. We're not going to stop doing them just because it's so easy to do. But yeah, I don't know, because it's weird because this is very candid and honest, and it's definitely not the Styles Rockman.
I worry about being too candid and honest a lot.
I don't know. We're among friends here, and the whole internet.
Yeah.
Every internet.
I just worry that someday a potential employer is going to listen to this and go, ooh, geez, that's some nasty things about poetry.
Yes. That's true. I don't know.
I don't really worry about that.
Yeah.
I'm just...
I'm worried that some employer is going to see a video of me getting hit in the face with a cream pie.
I think in your case that could only do good.
As an actor, yes. I definitely think so. I'm getting my security license to be a bouncer.
The thing is, I don't think of myself as an angry person. I don't want people to think I am angry or that I like lash out and just like, oh, that's stupid. This stuff is bullshit.
Well, it's venting. Time. It's venting.
Yeah, I suppose. But, I try to be nice to everyone. At least in my public persona, such as it is.
Yes.
I, always trying to work at that. I worry that I'm going to say stuff that I regret sometimes.
Yeah, I find that I've become just more and more honest. Not necessarily open, but like straight up and honest. I find, and Generally, people who know me don't ever get offended whenever I say anything. Whenever I meet somebody new, there is sort of a hump where I might, be, I guess, too honest about something and be like, oh, that's kind of a weird thing to say, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think that I don't think I've met anybody in the past, like, 5 or 6 years that has, after meeting me, just gone, wow, that guy's an asshole. That I didn't sleep with.
Oh, there's someone in that car. That was a strange place to park.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, saying that out loud while being recorded makes it sound somewhat pretentious. I don't know, maybe it is. I'm not saying other people aren't honest. I'm just saying I myself value total honesty. And,
well, like, part of it is, trying to, this sounds awful, give the appearance of being a, like, really fair and really kind and really nice person. Excise kind from that. Whatever. But it's also, like, trying to bring about a change in myself of, like, well, I don't want to be judgmental. I don't want to...
Yeah.
I don't want to be the kind of person who actually does, like, prejudge things or otherwise get really, upset at stupid things. I want to try and go into everything with an open mind, and I want to, like, create a perception of myself that I do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go around and bash... I don't want to bash anyone, is what it comes down to. Like, whether it's about art or movies or TV or anything like that, I always want to be a bit more fair and even-handed and not just be like, oh, all these artists are hacks. Oh, this TV show is crap. It's like, I always kind of want to try to approach things of just like, well
here's
I'm sure there's a hidden depth here. If I look at it, I'm going to try and not write off anything. That's, I guess, actually my New Year's resolution, like a year or two ago, was actually to be a more positive person in that light. And I think I've succeeded in some ways.
I see that smile. No, I get what you're saying. It's...
Also, everyone is tired of internet cynics.
Yeah.
I never want to be one ever again. I was one, it was bad. I admit it, I'm guilty.
You went to rehab.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to be a positive person and not a person who writes things off or anything like that.
Yeah. God, that's such a great experiment.
Unless, of course, it's really funny to do so.
Yes. Yeah. It's such a great experiment to go back and read many of the things that you wrote on the internet while you were in high school, and then just boil with hate, internal hate for your former self.
Yeah, a week or two ago, I went through all my old email accounts.
Oh God, what did you do that for?
Because I kept on looking at my Gmail and my Hotmail things that said, like, oh yeah, you have like 1,200 saved messages. And it just went, geez, at some point, if I'm actually going to ever look through my old emails again, actually catalog important stuff, I have to clear this stuff out. And yeah, just all my old email conversations from when I was a teenager. Oh boy. Oh, it was good to jettison that stuff just forever. Not even like, oh, I'm gonna keep this so I can look at it and then like see how I've changed as a person. Just like, no, gone, dead.
That was
no
not
one
a real
can
person.
ever prove
that
I
was
existed
me.
before
No
I was
one
20.
can ever know. Yeah, I don't know. I've said many times the measure of a person is how much they hated themselves, or how much they hate themselves, what they were in high school. I've said it better than that before. It's, God. What a fucked up time that was. We didn't even go to a real high school. We went to a fake high school. I don't know. We were talking about this when we were on the ground, so we don't really have anything uncanned to say about it. But we went to a self-directed school, which basically for me meant that I did half of my schoolwork in November and the other half in June.
Yep.
And still managed to make honor roll because I'm a bad person.
Well, similar for me, except it was more like 25-75 than half and half.
Yeah.
I learned how to sleep with my teachers.
Yep. I learned how to waste everybody's time and sneak out the door to go to the restaurant, which had some pretty kick-ass burgers.
I learned how to, like, on most days, like, leave school for lunch and not actually come back in the afternoon. But schedule my classes. That was a thing, you got to schedule your classes, sort of.
Yeah.
The system changed a lot over the years. And it was kind of like a college where, you picked your classes and you scheduled around them and so on. But every year they were trying a new system, and it never quite worked. But, generally it was a good school. Bright people came out of it. It's kind of fallen into disrepair since we graduated. But it was the best school in the area, anyway.
Yeah, well, we had really good principals, too. After we graduated, the principal that we had for our last year, Mr. What's-his-dick, retired, and then the school just, really went to shit. My little sister's going there now, and it was bad. When I was there, I remember 2 fights. There was one that happened after school with a grade 13er, and I remember his name was Ed, and I remember he was just fucking hammering on this guy. They had to get the school liaison to come in and haul him off, and he was just screaming. I was like, "Hey, way to go, Ed!" And then I remember it was my very last year, and it was a fight between 2 just punk ass grade 8s, and the principal ran in. The guy looked like a drill sergeant, and he ran like a drill sergeant. I'm pretty sure he was in the army. He ran in and just broke through the circle, grabbed both of them by the scruff of the neck, and ripped them off each other. I wasn't there. This is just what I heard. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
It started with a T.
I know what his name is. I just don't want to say it here.
Okay. Okay, I'm honestly lost as to what it was. So.
I'll tell you after. Something to look forward to. Yeah, but yeah. So high school. Nobody. I mean, even though we didn't go to a real high school, I don't imagine the truth of not having learned anything in high school is any different.
We, as far as bullying and shitty people and all that stuff, we had a really good high school experience.
Yeah, I got most of that in elementary and middle school. I got a lot of that, actually, in elementary and middle school. But no, our high school was a pretty positive place.
Yeah, it was. The saddest thing for me is how much the music program has fallen apart since I left.
Because you left.
What I meant to say is, since I... No, there's
no good way of saying it
That
now.
is the ideal way of phrasing that.
Yep. After you left...
in the years since I graduated,
the
music program in Thomas Haney has fallen from being one of the best in the area to one of the worst. It's too bad.
Yes. It's all because of you.
I was also, in my time, probably the best male singer that they had. Mm-hmm. I was nothing compared to some of the people who came before me, but in my time, once they all graduated.
I don't know about you, but I always felt like high school-aged people were much older than we were when I was growing up, if that makes any sense. Like, when I was elementary school, I saw the high school kids. They were like adults. They looked like adults to me, and I remember them looking like adults. And then when I got to high school, I just remember, a whole bunch of, fucking kids that looked like they were in elementary school in the same grade as me.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well,
and they always seemed far more mature. Maybe it was the drugs.
I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it is. It was the drugs. People in the 90s did a lot of drugs.
I think I remember the opposite being the case of, as I got older in high school, to higher grades, I looked at the kids who were in elementary school and thought they were way younger than I remembered being when I was in elementary school.
Yeah. Some guy just walking in full BDUs down the street there.
Looked like he was wearing a green beret.
Looks like he's camouflaged. Well, the green beret is an American thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I forget what the Canadian Special Forces unit is called. I think it's just the Canadian Special Forces. We're not that creative of a country.
We have special forces.
Oh yeah, we do.
I thought Canadian Special Forces was just the name for the army.
No, that's the Royal Canadian Armed Forces, or something similar. No, we actually Canadian Special. Canadian.
I think they're supposed to be really good.
Yeah. The Canadian military training is among the best in the world. right up there with Israel and America. It's just one, we are a smaller nation in terms of people, and two, we are a peacekeeping country, so we do not often employ military force.
I think a lot of, like, the Canadian Army is good at, or Canadian Army force,
The military. Yeah.
It's surprisingly good at a lot of things, and I think a lot of them are kind of because we're overcompensating, but hey, they're still pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we played a major hand in the Korean War, in Rwanda, and I don't remember if we were involved in the Gulf War or not.
Mm-hmm. I don't take any kind of, like, pride in the capabilities of our army or our military or anything like that.
I do. And I definitely feel like Canada should have a stronger military presence, but that's perhaps a conversation for another Carcast entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, I don't know, what should we call this?
I have no idea.
Shit.
I thought you were just going to post it on YouTube or something with just like a designation 001.
That's exactly what I'm going to call it. Designation 001.
Hot Zone 001.
Designation destination.
That's not bad.
That is not bad at all.
Destination Funcast.
Alright, well, that's it for episode 0. This is not a full episode. Normally these will be when we have much longer drives ahead of us, but whoa, I'm gonna do this every time.